All right, my name's Mathew Buzikowski. As most of you probably know, I'm not from Fargo.
What?
Yeah, I'm from a small town in western Pennsylvania. So I'm a fly fishing guide in Alaska, okay? I've been doing this for 4 years now. The reason why I got into it was I wanted to get out of western Pennsylvania and move farther away from Ohio. So in order to do that, I thought my best option to do that was move to Alaska. So I moved up to Alaska 4 years ago just for a summertime gig, go up, explore. No tie downs, no kids, no girlfriend. Great time to go figure my life out a little bit. So I go up there, first season's great. I'm working for this small lodge up there. It was weird, the lodge ended up going under after the season, so during the off season, I had a lot of off time. My season's only 3.5 months long up there. So during the off season, I send out 120 resumes, something like that, get a decent amount of interviews out of the whole deal, end up taking this job with a really nice lodge in the Bristol Bay of Alaska, best fishing in the world, okay? So I'm up there, first year goes well with the new lodge, second year goes well with the new lodge, go back for my third year with the new lodge, and by this time we become a tight-knit family, and there was this strict law up there at the lodge where the guests could drink as much as they want, but the guides, being professionals, we could only have 2 beers or a glass of wine every night. It's not the worst thing, it's not a fun thing, but we're working 7 days a week and it's a lot of work, so we all abide by that. Well, we all come in usually 2 weeks early to set up lodge and set up out camps and everything. And so it's like everybody, all the guides are getting back together and we all sneak in a little whiskey at the beginning of the season because we're all alcoholics just trying to pretend like we're not. So pre-season, no guests around or anything like that. We all see each other for the first time since last season. Everybody's with their little bottles of whiskey. We all get kind of tuned up, not thinking much about it. It's still a week before guests get there, so it's no big deal. Then next day I think there was 13 of us guests this past season, and I get called into the boss's office the next morning, and he's a pretty stern guy. He expects perfection, which he ought to, because all the guests, they're relying on their guides to show them a good time and take care of them through the week and everything like that. So we all end up getting drunk the night before. He calls me in the office next day, and I go by Buzz on the river. Anywhere I go by Buzz because it's short for my last name and most people can't pronounce it. So he says, "Buzz, I need to talk to you in my office real quick." I'm like, "Okay, bud." I said, what's up? And he's like, I heard you got drunk last night. And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I got drunk last night. 12 of us got drunk last night. No guests around, no big deal." He goes, "Well, you know our policy." And I said, "Yeah, bud, I know the policy." He goes, "I'm going to have to let you go." And I'm thinking, man, that's kind of caught me off guard because, 3 years into with the same owner, and, I always got high reviews from the guests and everything like that. So he says, "I'm going to have to let you go, but there's this other lodge I know, they just fired one of their guys, and you've got experience on this river that they're trying to replace the guy for." He's like, "I want you to call this other fella named Steve, tell him the situation, tell him why I'm letting you go, everything like that. And, hopefully things can work out for you so you don't have to fly back to Pennsylvania before the season ever gets started." So I'm like, all right. I call Steve up, and he pretty much gives me a quick interview, and he says, "Just have Bud call me," or he says, "Just have Bud email me, let me know that, he's letting you go or whatever." So Bud's like, "I'm just going to call him." And Bud calls him. "Yeah, he's a great worker, hard worker, great with the guests. He just broke our policy." Steve's like, gets back on the phone with me. He's like, "Buzz, it's not a big deal." He's like, "That could happen to any one of us." Because most lodge owners up there, they've been guides before. They've been through our shoes. They're also all alcoholics. So I fly over to this other lodge, it's Bristol Bay Lodge, and I get over there, and it's a nightmare. Everything's out of whack. All new guides, never guided before, never in Alaska before. Half of them didn't have their Coast Guard license, which you need in order to guide in Alaska. And just my world's going, I'm in circles up here. And I'm thinking, that's all right, I'm going to help them with their setup, and then I'm going to get shipped off to this river, and I'll just camp on the river all summer. They'll fly guests in and out to me. Well, all's good there. I get there on a Friday night, Saturday morning, they ship me out to the river, and I'm set up, I'm ready to just camp on the river for the entire season. Well, once you know it, thunder and lightning doesn't happen in Alaska. My second day there, we got hit with a lightning storm. A lightning storm is 2 bolts of lightning. One touches down, hits the tundra, starts the tundra on fire, burns within 30 feet of our lodge, hundreds of thousand acres on fire. So we get smoked in, and they can't land a plane on our river. So being experienced, the only experienced guy at the lodge, and having a license, which everybody should, but most people at this particular lodge did not, he says, come back to the lodge, we'll send you out to a couple different rivers that you're familiar with. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't really have a choice at this point in time. So I get flown back into the lodge and continue to realize that everybody else that I'm working with is absolutely crazy, poor work ethics, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's 4 house girls that take care of the guests, do the bartending, clean the rooms, stuff like that. There's 17 guides, and this is my first season being in Alaska single, so I'm all cool, and most of the guys are younger than me, more attractive than me, and I never go up to Alaska and like, hey, I'm looking for a woman or anything like that. Well, here comes this girl 2 days in after me, and she's not supposed to be at the lodge either. We get to talking one night, and I says, how'd you get to the lodge? What'd you do wrong at your lodge, whatever. Well, it turns out just somebody returned to the lodge as she was supposed to, so the owner of the lodge she was supposed to go to ends up owning this lodge that I'm at too. So she, by default, gets put to the same lodge as me. And I'm thinking, oh, cool, like somebody normal, somebody I can talk to, and so we start, talking, chatting it up or whatever, and for the next 4 weeks, I'm stuck at the lodge until the fire goes out and people start getting their captain's license and whatnot. So I was like kind of bummed out whenever I had to get sent back out to Togiak, because I'm like starting to like get into this girl, right? And I'm not expecting anything like this is going on because there's 24 swinging dicks there and 4 girls, Right, so I go back out to the lodge, and like my second day back at out camp, I get this letter, and I'm like, oh, that's sweet. This girl wrote me a letter, and so I do what any man would do. I write her back a letter, So it turns out into like we're writing each other back and forth pretty much every other day, every third day, something like that. And in one of her letters, she mentions like, after the season, since I'm in Alaska, I'd like to do a little touring of the state after our season's done. And I'm like, oh, cool. I haven't done this in like 4 years. So she says she wants to go to Homer, Alaska. So I'm like, yeah, I've been to Homer. It's a good spot. It's like, I'd be happy to go with you. Okay, so at the end of the season, which is another 3 months down the road, I get back to the lodge and we're all breaking down everything. And she says, so Buzz, are you serious about, taking this trip down, touring Alaska with me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I got some decent amount of cash in my pocket from working all season. And so we fly back to Anchorage and rent a car, and we start touring Alaska and having a good time, meet up with a couple buddies I haven't seen in a few weeks. And next thing I know, she's saying, she's from California, I'm from Pennsylvania, like, California girl, Western Pennsylvania guy, not really anything going on there, So one day we're down in Homer, and she says, we got like 2 days left in our trip, and she says, Buzz, I'd really like you to come check out Southern California. And I'm like, I could, but, just kind of to let you know what you're getting into, why don't you come check out Western Pennsylvania first? And it was like, yeah, I don't know about that, So we came up with this conclusion that we didn't know how to check out Western Pennsylvania and California, so I decided just to throw it out there. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I was expecting no, obviously. And I said, why don't you fly back to Southern California and then fly to Western Pennsylvania, and we'll take a road trip across the country. And obviously I'm expecting, like, she's not going to fall for this trick or whatever. Well, lo and behold, we get back from Anchorage. She flies to LAX. I fly back to Western Pennsylvania. Calls me up. She's like, I got my ticket booked to Cleveland. When are you going to pick me up? I'm like, whoa. So, I got to go pick her up. I'd be a fool not to. So I go pick her up, and this was probably, let's see, the last week of September. I go to pick her up, and I take her back to my folks' house, and I'm thinking she's gonna be super freaked out when she sees the small town that I come from, and my parents and like my friends. They're all weird in Western Pennsylvania. I was completely expecting her to tuck her tails in between her legs and fly back to LAX. Well, October 1st, we left on our road trip across country, and here we are in Fargo, North Dakota. And my girlfriend Rosemary's here with me. So that's how things escalate quickly.